I did this 2 summers, 2007, 2008. First 3 weeks, I hurt constantly. I think it's like basic training or something. Because I wasn't in physical shape. After those 3 weeks passed, it was fun. That's the longest story of it. I enjoyed my work and it was healthy. I enjoyed my companions and the work was interesting. Manual labor is not boring, at least if you're going to a new job every 2 or 3 days, because you're learning something new. And manual day labor gives you a chance to see the inside of enterprises you wouldn't ever see, even as a reporter. What reporter's ever been in a culvert plant? Doesn't happen, right? Driven cars in an auction ring. We cleaned up after a big rock concert, and part of our job was putting away the booze that hadn't been sold. Now, a lot of people would like to be in our shoes that night. I don't drink, but a lot of people would like to have been there. But you see a world that generally we just drive by and don't even know is there. And it's a world we couldn't live without. A reporter just sent me a question about why did I even think it was important. And I says, well, if I told you it wasn't, it'd be like saying water treatment wasn't important. When you go to the faucet, you don't think about water treatment, but by golly, if somebody wasn't out there working, you might be sick. So that's what labor is. And one of the things I liked about day labor, and I don't talk much in the book in my feelings, but I think I do say this. On the day labor job, everybody knows what your attitude is. Meaning, you don't get the questions like you get in career and white collar jobs. Oh, why do you want to work for us? Common question. You're supposed to say, because I believe in the mission of your company or your bureaucracy, right? You can't say, because I got to pay bills, right? There's a great deal of hypocrisy in white-collar life. You got to show up kind of cheerful every morning and say good morning to everybody, how are the kids? And you got to try to get along and look presentable. Day labor, they know what your attitude is, and they're just hoping you don't steal from them, show up drunk, or pull a knife on them. And that is a very comfortable relationship to have with an employer. Ain't no Tomming. Y'all may not understand that word, but Tomming is what, in the civil rights movement, when there were black people who would not get in the movement and who were always helping the whites, we would say, now I didn't say, but the black organizers would say, he's a Tom or she's an Aunt Mary, meaning they're kissing the rear end of the white folks. Well, one of the things that white folks do is Tomming. Only they're Tomming to their economic superiors, their bosses. Y'all understand the point I'm getting? When you laugh at the boss's jokes, you're Tomming. On day labor jobs, they ain't no Tomming. They know what you think of them, and they think you're scum of the earth. And you just sort of accept that, and you have freedom. And you know, everybody knows what the score is, and that's real comfortable. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my companions, partly because I was 62 when I started, 63 when I finished. I was the oldest guy around, thanks to my prior life, some of which Steve described. I've got a bum knee, and I've got COPD from 35 years of 3-pack-a-day smoking. I'm not the best physical specimen, and there were some guys who looked out for me. They call me Pops, because I always talk to the Latino workers on the jobs we were at, meaning on any job there are Latino workers, and I would talk to them and we would speak in Spanish. And I talked to them just because I like talking to them. And they nicknamed me Abuelito. And my day labor comrades were saying, what's that they keep calling you? And I said, Pops. And the name stuck. I became Pops from then on because I was the oldest guy in the labor hall. But that in itself says something. What I learned is that if you do hard labor, by the time you're 65, you've got a bad shoulder, a bad knee, or a bad back. I say 65, 55. You're pretty much crippled at 55. You ain't got much left in you. And our retirement system says that at 62 you can take early retirement. So the manual laborer in this country is looking at 7 years of starvation is what it comes to, because when your body goes, there's nothing you can do. I'm reminded of the old saying, the law in its majesty prohibits both the rich and poor from sleeping under bridges. And so day laborers who are above 50 get to talking, and they say, I'm hoping to get disability. When is that going to happen? That is their hope, disability, not Social Security, because they get broken down. That's what day labor does to you. In the book, I refer to a pick, right? Pickle, as a machine that causes lower back injuries. That is just as much true as smoking cigarettes cause emphysema. If you work with a pick for long, you're going to have lower back injuries. It is a dangerous tool. And we don't see it that way because our laws aren't written by the people who have to use it. But people got broken down, and here I was, they didn't know why, older than anybody else, able to still keep going. I was older than anybody else because I had a white-collar life. I mean, I was able to do something at 62 because I'd had a white-collar life. But it still wasn't up to par. And on every job that was hard, there were guys who looked out for me because they believe everybody has a right to a job. And they would take, like one time I had to pick up a bag of cement that weighed 80 pounds and throw it into a dumpster. Dumpsters are 6 feet high. I'm not quite that tall, right? A 6 feet guy, he can do it easier than me. And I looked at it and I tried to pick it up, and another guy sees me and he comes over and, like what's his name? Michael Jordan doing a basket. For him it was nothing. They looked out for me. Today in day labor there are also females, maybe 15%. The day labor halls try to send them to women's work jobs, right? Office cleanup, cafeteria lines, that sort of thing. But there are not always enough of those jobs to go around, and sometimes the women would wind up on the construction jobs with us. And I thought that the men would despise them and avoid working with them, but it's not true. Because, for example, on sheetrock, it comes in 4x8 sheets. Now, if it's ½ inch or thicker, it comes in 4x8 sheets that are taped together at their ends, 2 sheets at a time. And if it's a ½ inch or thicker, it weighs 80 pounds, those 2 sheets. One guy on each end to move it. If the women on the crew, who are about my size usually, or a little smaller, you cut the sheets that are holding those sheetrock sheets together, and you carry one at a time, 40 pounds at a time. There ain't a day laborer out there who isn't happy to do that. So that the women's presence sometimes makes the physical labor easier for the men, and that's why they don't resent the women being around.